was slightly inaccurate because it lands me in an equal position. And equality is not the worst thing in society, but on a chessboard it kind of is. Yeah, black is actually already comfortable here. The computer likes black's position here because of the activity. That's what the computer really likes. So knight f3, and here, yeah, the computer loves black's position. Like bishop e6, and just slow playing it. But after rook g8 and all this, I think a6 was a little bit of a slow move. I think if black had blocked the king and then focused on my weaknesses and finished development, it would have been good. But because black started fighting without covering their own weakness, now black is much worse. So e to king is the problem here, and we managed to outplay from there. But yeah, very solid game from black there. Okay, now we're gonna jump ahead to playing a 2200. I've actually played this person before, 2500 blitz, so two 2500s, and this game I'm gonna go for c4, and I'm also gonna tell the person that they played very well. Alright, c4, e5. There's a lot of ways to play this. I'm going to play knight f3. This is one of my favorite variations. It's very non-standard because it's kind of baiting black into playing a quick e4, but I'm going to play d4 here. And this is equal, just like last game. Just fighting in the center here. Like knight f6 is very standard. Bishop b4 is very standard. Now bishop c5 is not very standard. So let's see what to do. I'm going to play knight c3. I always wait to see if my opponent will play this move. It's not a good move. The bishop there is a big target, whereas the bishop in almost all Englishes should go to b4. And opponent is very well familiar with this. So let me take on c6. bc is what everybody plays here, but dc, believe it or not, offering this exchange is completely fine for black, but very rarely do people do it. But we'll see if my opponent does it. And I am leaving this open. That is an option for my opponent to damage my structure. It leads to some very interesting positions.
Not bad.
So we'll see what happens. And the way I want to develop is g3, bishop g2. I always want to put my bishop on that long range diagonal. So c4, e5, knight f3 is one of these like small weapons I keep in my back pocket. Otherwise, like a knife. Knight c3, knight f3 is good. And also c4, e5, g3, very traditional English style, is what I like to play. But you know, I'm an international master. We gotta know a little bit about every opening, and I like to mix it up. I'm not one of these title players who likes to play the exact same thing every time. Why is my opponent taking so long? Make a move. BC, there it is. Okay, so here I can play bishop d2 to anticipate this, or I can bait my opponent into damaging my structure. I'm gonna go for g3. I'm not really worried if my opponent does this. We'll have a fascinating game of a damaged structure, but bishop pair versus bishop and knight. It is very tempting. It is very tempting, I must say.
I was losing that game. And this one, you're not going to outplay me.
There we go.
This one, you aren't going to outplay me.
But now they cannot play knight e4. Now, why I like this for white, optically this is really nice, is because this structure, in many situations, is super difficult to move. Because if you move the d pawn, the c pawn becomes weak to this bishop. If you go to d5, then the whole thing becomes weak. Like, you're not just weakening the center, you're weakening all these pawns. And just like last game, remember last game, we had two double pawns supporting a pawn? If you don't remember what I'm talking about, in the last game that we just played, we have double pawns supporting one pawn. You see that? We have the same thing here. If d5 is played, we have double pawns supporting one pawn, which makes the whole structure really fragile. And my structure is very nice. And I'm not worried about this, because we'll both have sets of double c pawns, so they sort of cancel out. It's a very interesting position. It's very, very practical, like human-like position. Computer is just always saying it's equal, but I like to play it in blitz, I like to play it in rapid. I haven't played it in over-the-board much, because I only actually found out about c4, e5, knight f3, like, this year. And there's also interesting lines where they attack your knight, and your knight has to go here, so it's a nice way to freshen up the reverse Sicilian positions of c4, e5, because this is the Sicilian, but you're playing it with white, so you have an extra move. And that's basically it, and then from here on out, chess gets played. Rook e8, queen e7, very common moving this bishop. Yeah, there's rook e8, I'm gonna castle, nothing complicated. And now the game of chess begins. Well, I suppose this whole thing is, my entire existence is based on the game of chess, but anyhow. I like the time advantage. Listen, it's not a blitz game, but time is very important. 2.5 minute advantage is big, and unlike last game where I was down on time but managed to catch up, this game I am up on time, and I intend to make full use of it later on in the game. So opponent's only got 6 minutes now to figure out everything, which is really not a tremendous amount on the clock. And my plans consist of b3, bishop b2. I understand that if I play b3, I hang my knight, but that's the plan. Not to hang the knight, but maybe queen c2 or queen d3. Queen c2 is a very flexible move. It defends this, it defends the center. What am I doing? This. And also, when the c file opens, the queen will add some pressure. It's a great move. It's like a super nice square. And if bishop c3, I then take with the queen in many positions and can team up with a bishop on this diagonal. There is d5. Okay, so that is the question of the entire game, whether that move is good or bad. Now, my first instinct is, of course, what if I take? If I take and they take with anything, I'm going to take with a knight, and then we can have a trade, and at the end I attack a rook. So that just looks like a free pawn. I imagine my opponent's idea is to take my knight first, and then take back on d5, but then I get the bishop there, so I don't really understand what the idea is here. I also can ignore it. You see, I could play a move like bishop g5, which is a really useful move, pinning the knight to the queen and completely removing a defender of the center for black. That is another very useful move that I have. So here, if d4 can attack this, maybe I throw the knight.
You are not going to outplay me.
Bishop g5 was
I
really
delayed.
good. I really like moves like that.
You don't play with the king.
Bishop g5 or cd5. cd5, bishop c3. Wow. And I want to maintain the time advantage. Do I play for simplicity or do I play something like bishop g5, take with the extra pressure? What do I do? Bishop g5, maybe bishop a6 is going to happen. Or maybe bishop g5, bishop e6 is going to happen to support the center. But that doesn't really support the center at all, does it? Because I can just take, and the pin is still there. Wow. Folks, I don't know. They both look good. I gotta go with one. I'll go with this. I don't know. I don't quite get it. I'm gonna stretch my back though. Ugh. I don't get it. I spent 98 seconds on that move. I could have played that move in 2 seconds. Yeah, there it is. So here it is. Now I have the bishop pair, and my c pawns are now undoubled. And I think the good thing about this position is I always have things like c4 applying an extra level of pressure. But c4, bishop a6, if I take, I get hit with bishop e2. That is what I don't like. So we're going to need to figure something out here. First of all, rook e1 is one of the ways to figure something out. Bishop g5, again, is a way to figure something out. Queen a4 to prevent bishop a6 and apply pressure to the rook. This is a little bit stuck. I like queen a4. I need to start playing faster. That is one thing. I'm going to play rook e1. I think black has probably very close to equal, but not quite. And if I can get rid of this weakness and maintain my pressure on the center, I'm definitely always a little for preference just from the visual standpoint because of my bishops, especially if I trade these pawns and then put my queen and my bishop on this diagonal. That dark squared bishop is going to be a killer on b2. It's just going to be completely unopposed on the open diagonal. But yeah, I mean, c4 bishop a6 is a ridiculous move. Like, that is so hard to see because obviously, you see
Told
this
you.
diagonal. You just think black is going to defend the pawn.
You wanted to
Black
play
actually
me.
makes an aggressive move, baiting you to take, to then take on e2 along with the rook defending.
Blunder mode is on flight mode.
I'm back in the driver's seat in terms of time. My opponent's thinking, and something like knight e4 might happen. Gotta stretch. Oh, actually, knight e4 is not good because c4 is very strong now. c4 will completely remove the defender in the center. And again, like I keep saying, if I can trade a pawn like this pawn, I think I'm quite happy. But time advantage again. Other ideas in the position could be something like bishop e3 or bishop f4, where the bishop will pressure the pawns. And then something to constantly wonder is what trades you want. Like, I've been mentioning this trade, but I would only ever play that trade if it guaranteed material gain. Is my opponent letting me play c4? I guess the idea is something like c4 rook b8, forcing me to take potentially. Maybe, well, the thing is, right now is the only chance I have to play this move. Or I anticipate that my opponent wants to play rook b8 and I play queen d4. Maybe that's an idea. I have to trust my instincts. Also now bishop g5, this damages black's pawn structure. Either pawn takes or queen takes. The more I can damage the structure, the better all my endgames are going to be. So I really like queen d4 because I think black is trying to move the rook. Now a really natural idea for black is trying to make this move possible, to kick my queen away. So something like queen d6. But queen d6 runs directly into bishop f4, and queen e7 runs into probably some bishop g5 thing. c5 and then I take. If they take my queen, I take their queen, and that's good for me. So definitely this trade now significantly increases in its value since it will force black into a damaged structure. Knight e4, well, I think what black wants is to trade this knight for this bishop. Because the resulting position, even at the cost of one pawn, will be an opposite colored bishop situation. So imagine here, take, queen takes. Yes, I win a pawn. Actually, no, I don't, because there might be some crazy discovered attack. But knight e4, take, lands black in an opposite colored bishop position, which is significantly better with open lines. Because a pawn really matters a lot less in an opposite colored bishop position than it would right now. If we end up in a situation of, for example, this bishop versus this knight, because we traded our light squared bishops, that's a huge endgame advantage. But opposite colored bishops are very different. It's very different. And that move is played. Wow. Welcome to the big leagues. I like this stuff. This is good. I don't want to do it. I do not want to trade those pieces. So I think what I'm going to do is play... I like that this is still only guarded by that. That is really nice, and I'm really liking this f3 idea to kick the knight out. But I also really like c4, removing the guard of the knight.
Well,
c4, c5, and then I can move my queen somewhere. The question is, where do I move my queen? b2 will run into rook b8, so we don't like that. Queen e3, there might be danger levels with queen f6 attacking my rook. But then maybe I can move my bishop to a3. And
ladder mat.
then if knight c3, I have cd5, maybe? Let's think about this. f3, c5, queen slides back one square. The knight's gotta go. But also f3, the knight can just go by itself. It doesn't actually need to be escorted. I think I'm going to play f3. But I think black is making some progress. I think c5 is a big mistake now. Black should just move the knight to cover c4. Yup. I think progress has definitely been made here for black. I'm not as happy about the position as I once was. e4 only helps black, I think. And f4, the knight can just come right back, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Can the knight just come back? Let's just go bishop f4. Black has some time lower than me. I don't think I played this right. I don't think f3 was the best move. I think c4 was probably the best move, but it was very tough to calculate, and then it got very messy very quickly. time, though. I like that my opponent is very low on time, I must say. Queen c5 looks juicy. Bringing my rook also doesn't look bad at all. I'm going to play this move. Some more pressure on the center. Always some tricks like this. Not right now, but just in the future. Queen c5 looks very nice. The good thing is that my bishop pair is felt. You can feel the bishop pair. That's a target, that's a target. The diagonal attackers are always kind of lurking, looming, and trying to do something. This is why I should have played queen c5, because now queen e7. Yeah, I just totally... I'm not playing great, but I'm getting by. e4, c5, probably? Counterattack? No. Well, how about rook e4? Rook e4, there might be rook d8. There might be a rook d8 there. So I don't like that. Maybe queen e4. This does look a bit more appealing, I must say, with the queens and the rooks. There is a check. I don't think I'm scared of it. I can actually just trade queens, maybe. Trade queens, and that maintains under pressure. Okay, so I have a nice trick. I have rook d8. The queen actually has to be the one taking. Because if rook d8, I have queen c4. So rook d8, queen d8. There it is. That's under pressure. Maybe bishop f1 here. Oh, is there bishop f1? Bishop d7? Oh my god, bishop d7? Wow. How about a queen trade? A queen trade, and I still maintain good endgame chances, I have to say. Like, black's pieces are a bit clumsy. Like c6, and now how about bishop f1? Where's this knight going? Knight's gotta go back to b6, and try to go to d5. And then... where am I putting my bishop? Maybe... okay, this is not hanging. I still think it's not hanging, because I have rook a1 and rook a7. Right, so now I can come to a7. And if I can get that, this is very soft. So the bishop pair makes... probably I'm going to win this game because of time. Strictly because of time. This is impossible. Ooh, that's a blunder. Bishop to e7. It's very difficult to get this sandwich-style defense. You just run out of space. So, yeah, black resigns. But, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think I had the advantage during the duration of the game. Especially after d5, but it was always very tricky. Yeah, see, the computer slowly but surely starts appreciating white's position. It thinks I should play queen b3. I actually have seen this move before, this kind of idea, and then you get this, and like I said, rook e2 is always possible, but I guess it's bad according to the computer. Oh, you trap the rook. Oh, wow. You can trap the rook and just kind of chill. Yeah, queen b3 here, I guess. A move like this, even though it guards the bishop, you notice that the queen always is helping out. And that's not actually not a thing anymore because the rook is always soft. Wow. Queen b3. And the way I did it in the game, I still definitely had some advantage. Rook e1 is the best move, and should I have played c4 here? Yeah, the computer just says, dude, just go c4, stupid. What are you overcomplicating? Rook b8. cd5, or yeah, bishop e3 to take this pawn. Tough position. I think queen d4 was okay. Yeah, and the computer doesn't like f3. Yeah, it thinks I should just go c4. And c5, I said queen e3. Wait, it likes this? What about rook b8? Oh, just this? And what if queen f6 attacking my rook? Oh, just here. Wow. Defending my rook and counterattacking the rook and counterattacking the pawn and pressuring this pawn and pressuring this and pressuring this. Yeah, that's why I'm not a computer. Now black's best move is queen b2, looking for a queen trade. Yeah, I did not see queen b2, queen a3. Maybe in a classical game, but definitely
We're just exchanging queens there. You had no square.
And yeah, black went back to equality, but we always had some pressure. We always had the bishop pair. We always had the weakened pawns on the queen side, and we ended up converting it. And even here,
I would love to have a clean sheet.
Always always pressuring a little bit. Always a little bit. Bishop a2 wasn't the most accurate, but computer still thinks that black can hold this with knight c4. But
Then we do this.
kind of became a winning endgame. There you go. Welcome to master level chess. All right. I'm playing with the black pieces versus Samuel Stork, who's got a Teletubbies in the profile. I'm going to play g6. And me. Bishop g7. This is going to be straight out of my g6 course. Knight f3 or knight c3. I'm going to play c5. I'm looking for a beef eater. That's what I want. d5, bishop here, and then f5. And I think my opponent's not going to let me do that. Or here. Oh, sorry. Or taking my pawn. By the way, it's time to give you the secret code. Since this is episode 16, the code is SWEET. SWEET 16. Lowercase, uppercase, doesn't matter how you type it. That's the code. Okay. I can can also play knight c6. Take, knight f6 and d5, and the position becomes a Carl Khan actually, so I think I'm going to go that route. I'm going to play takes, knight f6, and most people here go knight f3, and then I will play d5, and we have a Carl Khan Panov variation, which if my opponent plays d4 is probably not very familiar with, maybe we'll get a good position. So d5. You say how is that possible? Like this position with e pawn and c pawn gone. I will set up an analysis board. Just so you see, e4, e4, c6, d4, d5, take, right, c4, and then black goes for g6, and here the critical line is cd5. It's not knight f3. Black is completely fine in these lines, and now if we go back to the game actually looks exactly the same. It just took a slightly different move order because of the way this was played. Which is why my opponent is confused. So we've used the g6 course to transpose to a good line in the Carl Khan defense, and yeah. Normally white should take on d5, and white does. And here if I castle, queen b3 is a decent move. Queen b3, queen b3 defense, but here just taking is very good on d5, and that's just what I'm going to do. Because normally your bishop isn't on g7 yet. Normally this is back, and this is on g1. Or rather, if this is here, this is not here. That's a better way of describing it. So the move order, keeping the knight back on g1 is better for white than putting the knight out to f3. So in this move order, white played a slightly inaccurate move because of the way the opening went. Because in this position, obviously you're going to play knight f3. Yeah, now bishop c4, and here there's a couple of moves. E6 is very solid. Knight c3 leads to an interesting position as well. Knight b6 to counterattack the bishop is very normal. A lot of options. What do I do? What do I want? Knight c3 take and queen c7 is a common idea. Hit the bishop. Pressure this diagonal. I'm going to do that. I'm going to actually not go for an isolated pawn position. I'm going to play whatever this is. Queen c7 here is very useful. Queen b3 defends the bishop and counterattacks me, so I'll have to castle. But I'm okay with that. And then you try to play against the hanging pawns. Those are when you have d and c like this. And we'll see how strategically gifted my opponent is. But of course, queen b3 is a very easy move. Yep, now my castle. Probably white will castle. And there's a lot of interesting lines here. Sometimes white even can play h4, h5 to create some sort of attack. To the uninitiated, that is a very weird thing to do, so I don't know if my opponent will do that. Bishop g4 runs into knight g5. This is the thing that my opponent wants. So I'm going to play knight c6 because the idea of this move is to play knight a5 and win the game on the spot. So probably it's good for my opponent not to allow that. And knight g5, I can always play e6. This is a super useful defensive move, blocking the bishop's diagonal. And then ultimately I will play b6 and bishop b7 because my light squared bishop will be blocked otherwise. Okay. Now I've kind of made some progress. I've sort of kicked that piece out. I want to go here actually to attack the queen, and then if d5, do I have this? Can I? A little danger danger levels action here. That hits the queen. Queen b4, bishop d5, queen b5, a6. I like this. I'm going to go for that. And then I'm going to put my bishop right here. So we are playing against the hanging pawns by blockading them. This is a very important step, by not letting them go forward. And if we occupy the squares in front of them, what that allows us to do is load up the pieces behind the blockade, and then once we lift that blockade, we can win one or two of them. And the thing is, if we win one, very high chance we win the other. So bishop e6, d5, knight a5, very nice idea. All my pieces coordinate very well, and I'm a step ahead of white. So I castled first, which then let me create threats. Knight c6 is a move that, due to white's piece coordination, made white waste the move to defend the threat. And now we play bishop e6, winning tempo, rather than just doing this. And sometimes the best moves in the position are sort of hidden behind a tactical little shot like this, knight a5. Otherwise, d5 is just really good. If the queen's on d1 or something, and this is protected, I don't have that a5, so there it is. But isn't this just really good for me? Knight a5? I think maybe my opponent missed this move. My opponent thought for a while, so yeah, queen b5, but might have missed a6, unless I'm missing something. But I don't think I'm missing anything. I think after a6, white is in serious trouble. Because like I said, once we win one, we're probably winning the other one too. And 2 pawns up is very nice. I think my opponent just missed a6. Maybe they thought that after queen b5 I would play this move, which, by the way, is also very strong. Because how do you guard at c3? You would need to go to b1. See, here the thing is, if my opponent goes to b2, I have this. It gets even worse. I have that move. I can go b5 now. But don't get carried away. It's probably just better to take on d5. Yeah, I'm just going to go here. Now I'm just a clean pawn up. And it's going to get worse. I'm about to be up 2 pawns, because I'm going to also win c3. And if I can damage the structure, I'm going to be even happier. But there is bishop f4. The game is not completely lost, but it's very bad. It's not completely lost, but it's very bad. And this is an 1840. So this is why it's good to understand how your openings can then become other sorts of positions and the move orders. And this comes from years of playing, understanding that now we're in a slightly advantageous Carl Khan just because of one move. So a lot of strategic stuff at play here. The hanging pawn structure, how to play against it. There's bishop to e2. Queen c3. Ooh, queen c3 looks really good, but there might be a danger level there. Bishop d2 hits my queen and the knight, and the rook is guarded. Yikes. It's never too late to do something stupid. So b5 is my next idea. I think my opponent wants to throw the queen over there. It's only logical, right? I mean, you might as well go all out. So probably I should just take on f3, if I'm being honest. Probably just take this and just take my advantage and go chill. But I do like a move like bishop c3, for example, just attacking the rook. I don't see anything wrong with that move. And then if rook b1, maybe even b5, bishop a2, just completely grab everything. I'm going to go that route. I'm going to take everything. It's all there for the taking. I just said if you win one of the pawns, you might as well win the second, so I don't really know why I would backtrack on that. So, bishop c3. Now I'd really like to take this, so I'm going to go b5 and get rid of the queen. And we are a very healthy 2 pawns up. Now, of course, queen h4 is probably just the best move from a practical standpoint. I mean, you might as well. And then I gotta tell you, I don't know about taking this one. It traps the rook, but I really don't want to get mated. That's how this has to be played. The opponent is not playing great, unfortunately. This traps the rook now. You can't do this. You can't. I mean, everybody's different, right? People are different. Everyone's gonna play a bad position differently. But b4, there is still the option for white to sacrifice, so I think I'm gonna play this. But it's not so simple. Not so simple. Again, never too late to hang a piece and all that good stuff. So let's go. Yeah, let's play bishop b4. is completely trapped. I think the best thing for white to do is to give me the rook for the dark squared bishop, because the dark squared bishop is defending all this. But if you get my dark squared bishop, I'm gonna have some weaknesses. Which is why I was considering maybe even bishop b2. If I take the rook, they take like this. But there's tactics all over the place. And then if I take like this, there's rook b2. So I think I do want to keep my dark squared bishop in a perfect world. Oh, there it is. Call it. Call it. And there's no strings tonight. No one can hear me. Just me here. You know what I could do? And there's moments where knight c4 can become possible. But I would need to move my bishop out of the way. That's funny. Just getting the bishop out of there without taking anything. Maybe rook b8 and b4. That's another interesting idea. I really just want to get rid of this knight. This knight is so
좋아.
fine. Bishop b2 is probably completely fine. But then I would need to always play a move like f6. I don't know. I'm not thrilled about it. I like knight c4. I like knight c4 without losing this. Very common beginner mistake. Play a move like knight c4, forgetting that there's it's something there. You know, with queen defending. Bishop. There's rook b4. That attacks me. I'm going to play knight into c4. And hope that my opponent hangs a queen in one move. That would be really nice. Queen b3 is the only move that is safe with the queen, or else bishop c4. Bishop c4 lets me get exactly what I want. So queen b3 will probably be played. Then I don't know what I'll do. Bishop c4 is threats, or maybe I'll use defense my knight. You can also slide back. That is something I like a lot. That's a trade risk. Bishop c3 is a big move. And then maybe I'll wedge my bishop in. A5 is an idea to attack the rook. And another idea to like defend this pawn first by playing something simple like rook e8. But that's so lame. But it could be best. So our rook is not playing. Maybe I'll just go rook e8, so I never blunder. And you know, sometimes it's completely okay to slow play like this. Because there's nothing wrong with just not blundering any pieces. That move. Okay, so first obviously this is the thing that I think about. I mean, you could snap that, you don't even need to think too much, but there also is a hint. We could go queen e5. In fact, queen e5 wins the game. There's nowhere you can move this knight. If knight f6, I just take. Anywhere you move the knight, I take a rook, and I'm threatening bishop takes. So, you probably have to guard your knight. That is the only way to guard your knight. one of my rooks out of danger and counterattack the other. Now I am just cleanly up 2 pawns. We are in an endgame. There is very limited time on the clock. And I can defend everything and very slowly make forward progress. King f6, e5, e4, walk together. In positions like this, you always look at the open file. We control the only open file. We control more space. We have a blockade. And we are going to win. And probably we will win this by making sure we don't hang a fork like this on d5. That's an interesting move, I guess. I don't think it prompts too much of a response. Although if I'm feeling greedy, I can go here and immediately swarm that pawn. And then my bishop covers the only entrance points, which is pretty awesome. So I can play this move and now attack the king, because the king actually has no moves. Okay, yeah, that's desperation mode. And now we have a beautiful move. We have rook to f3 check, deflecting the king, taking the rook, and forking the remaining knight. We actually did that in another game when we were cleaning up. Now that would be stalemate, by the way, but there's king moves. We'll go here. Don't stalemate. Take that. Almost stalemate. Cut off the king. You could sack for the final pawn if you like. Now it's easy. Now there's no... That was nice. That was a good game. Very clean. And just trying to see here in this position. Yeah, we got to a good spot. Yeah, black is better after knight c6. The computer really likes black's position here. And bishop e6 it really likes. And after d5, white is lost. Like straight up lost, because white is just losing too much. And once white goes down 2 pawns, that is how you play against the hanging pawn structure. Bishop e6, and if the queen had gone like over here, I would have still gone knight a5. I just hope that's clear. I would have gone bishop d5, something like rook e1, I would have gone knight a5. And we blockade the pawns, we play e6, rook c8, rook d8, and we stockpile the pressure, because the pawns are not going anywhere now, right? So, yeah, nice game. Very satisfied with that one. We have 3 more games to go. This is a long episode. Alright, I am white in this game. I played c4, d4, I'll play e4 in this game. c6, Karo Khan. And I will go with e5, the advanced variation, part of my e4 course. This is what I'm going to take. Now, knight c6 is a decent move, but f4 is a very powerful line, which is why in my course I recommend e6. F4 this is my e4 course here, right on display. And now there's basically only one way for black not to get a terrible position. Black has to play knight h6, and that is so hard to find out by yourself. If you look into your courses, you'll see it. Knight h6 is an idea, and the idea is that in the future you'll go g5 to try to attack. Now, if you're unprepared and you just play natural moves like bishop f5, you can get an awful position, because basically what I want is c3, and I just want to not let you take any of my pawns. Like, you gave me a pawn with this line, and black plays it. Black plays it. Okay. We're going to have some fun. The problem is that I forgot what to play after knight h6. I'm going to play knight f3. There's obviously nothing wrong with this move. And now I wonder what I'm supposed to do. Maybe it's bishop e2 or c3. I'll go c3. I'm trying to go b4. I don't want to let my opponent take. My opponent's trying to solve all their problems like kind of right away, which is get the bishop out, go e6 to take this pawn, put the knight on f5, and then play g5. And you play g5 because I can't take. And if I take like this, then I damage my center. But the thing is, if you do it in the wrong order, if you don't do it correctly, you'll just be dead lost. You don't do this correctly. If you play something wrong, which is why knight c6 on move 4 is a dangerous line to a well-prepared opponent, which is why you should learn your openings, intermediate and advanced players. And now I try to just defend the center. Now, a lot of people will here play like e6, f6, because e6 is a supernatural move. I'm just trying to get this. And f6 tries to attack my center. I think both those moves are wrong. The problem is I don't remember. The problem is I don't remember. And clearly neither does my opponent, which is why my opponent is taking a lot of time. Here we go. is not a good move. I know for a fact that's not a good move. And it's just not a good move because it allows my bishop to live on b5 the whole opening. And I know this is bad. You cannot let my bishop land here and just stay there. Because the pressure on this is tremendous. The knight now doesn't pressure the center at all. And bishop e2 is another interesting idea, like bishop e2, bishop e3. But basically, anytime they go here, I'll play bishop, not there, b5, because it also re-enables b4. a5 was played so I wouldn't go b4, and bishop b5 is played so that I can always play b4, like takes. But I also have bishop e3. But I also have queen a4. Queen a4 is very strong, and I think I'm going to play it now. And this is another problem with playing a5, is that I have this very powerful thing here. And now I can also throw my knight into the mix with knight d4 to add even more pressure on this knight on c6. And now we're really seeing the problems. We're really seeing the problems here. Black is in a lot of trouble. So rook c8 is basically forced. You don't have another move. But then, you know, bishop c5 is a little bit under pressure. But see, I've removed this. So now this bishop is standing offside, so I can play h3, g4, winning more space on this bishop. So everything in black's position now becomes rather suspicious because of the way this kind of opening went.
Okay,
So
rook
example,
takes. Still
rook
remember.
c8, I can play h3. If the bishop dips back to f5, I can play bishop e3. And then if bishop c5, I have knight takes bishop.
You are not going to sleep?
This, which is a little hard to see, admittedly. But it all stems from me completely dominating those queenside squares. My opponent is not feeling very comfortable right now. Their Caro-Kann is really being attacked. We're sort of using all of our nice center lock to go after the opponent. I don't exactly remember what the line is even after f4 knight h6, to be honest. I don't remember exactly what the line is here for black. It could be bishop g4, and then after this it's something. But I don't remember. That's the thing. So I would black in my course, Caro-Kann course, which you can now get for 40% off using the code SWEET16. There's knight h6. So that's all I remembered. But yeah, my course recommends e6 here. That's what my course recommends. All right. I am going to decrease my air conditioner. It's very cold. Okay, rook c8 has been played. I don't know why it took so long. I think there was basically nothing else. You gotta play rook c8. And now I really want to play h3 or b4. So what does my opponent want? Opponent desperately wants the castle, right? Is there any way we can make that, like, not happen? I'm very mean. I don't want my opponent to castle. I have knight c6, bc, bishop a6, but that's not... And this b4 move is really the thing. That is really... I would love to land that move. And then if b4, bishop e7, I can take on a5. I can also take on c6 and take on a5, but I can also just take on a5. I also can maybe... Nah. I was going to say move the bishop back and put my knight on b5, but that looks... That looks a little dumb.
Survive.
So, here, back, bishop e3, bishop e7, because this is protected due to tactics. I always have some g4 ideas to try to trap the bishop. And then maybe there I can move my bishop back to d3. And basically, if castles, I'll go knight b5, knight b6. But why am I trying to get my knight in there so desperately? Bishop E. Well, B4, A4. Let's just start with that. My opponent's probably going to take CB4. Bishop E7. Am I threatening anything? We can both castle. Castles, castles. I can take C6 and just bring my bishop back. Am I just clearly better there? Somehow. Well, I do have the advantage. My position looks a little delicate. Not gonna lie. Makes me wonder if I even want to play the move B4. Or if I just want to not open the queen side. Because I kind of like what I have going on right now on the queen side. I don't know why I would want to open that when I can just have a really strong central blockade with my knight here on D4. So for instance, if I take on C6, the pawn has to stand there, my queen stands here, and I don't need to play B4. It's very, I don't know, it's very tough to... Bishop F5 is a thing. G4 will be met with bishop E4, so I'm thinking to just go bishop E3. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I mean, I gotta tell you, like, visually this looks really good for white. It looks like there is just no play at all for black. You know what I could do is I could play knight D2, knight B3, and that is how I can defend my pawn. And that might be a problem for black. Knight D2, knight B3. B4 I like, but it opens the position. I'm not sure I'm in the business of opening the position.
I think that's a good night now.
Maybe I am.
Yes.
But I like this. Everything is being controlled. This knight, no moves. This knight, no moves. This bishop, very limited moves. And if I can just finish my development, get every piece into the
Good
game,
night,
fight
buddy.
in the center,
Sleep tight.
very happy. And in case anyone's wondering, this is actually the first variation that I saw here, bishop c5. This knight will jump to f5, taking this bishop, which used to not be there. Then the bishops see each other, and the knight also guards the bishop.